It's Saturday morning, I'm Steve, and this is the Saturday morning TV revival for the generation who remembers cartoons that came with a side of cereal and a dash of nostalgia, bringing back the best of Saturday mornings with a modern twist. On today's show, we've got a brand new game show, Just One Line. In Book Club, we'll be looking at one of the most graphic and controversial books that I've read in a while. We'll also be covering your new comic book recommendations. And in What's in the Box, we'll be diving into the brand new Mega Evolution set from Pokemon. I'll be looking at what makes a great binder for storing your Pokemon cards. And then in Bit by Bit, we'll be exploring the next rule from the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. We also have Side Quests, the part of the show where I give you a fun little task to complete before next week. And then Spotlight, where today we're focusing on one of my favourite comic authors and writers, Jeff Lemire. But before any of that, we need to start the show the way we always do, with Hobby Hangout, where we celebrate everything we achieved last week and set our goals for the week ahead. So let's head over to the hobby bench and see what we've all been up to. Welcome back to Hobby Hangout, the part of the show where we celebrate all the awesome progress that we've made in our hobbies over the past week. Whether you picked up a new hobby, continued an existing one, or just took some time to unwind, we want to hear about it. So what did you achieve last week? Maybe you cooked a delicious meal from scratch, became a pole vaulting champion. We can dream, right? Or just had a blast playing in the piles of leaves now that autumn is here. Whatever it is, be proud of your accomplishments. And if you didn't quite hit your goals, that is totally fine. Hobbies are about fun and relaxation, not stress. What matters is finding that time for yourself. Now, I'd love to know what your hobby goals were for last week and whether you managed to hit them. So drop a comment and let me know. For me, I started my Travelling Man Age of Paintober competition. If you missed last week's show, it's a painting competition where you get 4 random paints, a random Games Workshop model, and some basing bits. Apart from adding black and white, you have to use only those 4 paints to create your model. You can keep adding to it however you like, but the original model has to remain the focus. I received a Chaos Warrior from Age of Sigmar, and while rummaging around my bits box, I found the bottom half of a squig jaw, which fit perfectly around the warrior's waist. With the emblems and the brooches on the chest, it instantly made me think of a plague doctor. So from there, I started kit bashing what I am calling my plague bringer. The main body is still the Chaos Warrior, but moving upwards, I got this new loincloth from a Blight Lord Terminator. The squig jaw makes the beak, and in one hand, he holds a lantern. The lantern's base came with the Chaos Warrior, but I added the top from a previous mini of the month. I didn't have a right arm, so I built one up from multiple parts. And then for the head, I used the existing head, but turned it upside down, and the horn from the helmet became the beak of the plague mask. I wanted a plague doctor style hat, but didn't have one, and this type isn't really common in Games Workshop models, so I sculpted one from scratch using green stuff. I added a few extra touches like a circular brooch to the right of the chest to emphasize the eyes, a scarf to add a cloth-like element without overpowering the cloak, and a few small bits on the waist to look like vials of medicine. For the base, I kept it simple, but added 2 troll arms coming up out of the ground behind him. My plan is that everything in front of him will be lush and green, and everything behind will be black. So everywhere he walks, he brings the decay with him. This is only the second model I have ever kitbashed, so it took me about 2 nights, but I loved it. it's really given me a taste for kitbashing more models in the future. I am about halfway through the month and I haven't got a single bit of paint on this model yet, which probably leads us nicely into setting our goals for next week. 10 points to whoever can guess what my hobby goal is going to be. All right, it's time for our winner's circle. This is where we give a big shout out to some amazing hobby goals from our community. First up, we have Woika Z, who is focusing mentally on their resilience. Keep going strong, Woika. We then have SD, who is diving into the art of dry brushing and the slap chop technique. That is going to add so much detail to your miniatures. AZW Dread has been busy creating miniature catwalks for their D&D mine adventure, where they're leaning into a hijacked factory. That sounds like a fantastic setting. Cause for You is embarking on an epic journey, starting a 54-book expedition into the Horus Heresy. Now that is dedication. Joaquim G.A. Resendez is trying out stippling on their Lieutenant, adding some unique texture to their miniatures. And last but not least, Dex and Dice is investing in some Pokemon card packs. Good luck with those pulls. Keep up the fantastic work, everyone. I can't wait to see how these goals turn out. And that wraps up our winner's circle. It's always inspiring to see everybody's progress and dedication. Now, let's jump back into our hobby hangout and keep the creative juices flowing. All right, now that we've celebrated our wins from last week, let's dive into setting our goals for the week ahead. I'd love to know what you're aiming to achieve, so drop your goals in the comments below. Maybe you want to sculpt a life-size dragon out of clay, or perhaps you'll attempt to break the world record for the fastest puzzle completion. Or you could even plan to teach your pet goldfish to do tricks. The sky is the limit. Remember, it is so important to carve out time for your hobbies because life can get busy, and making space for what you enjoy is crucial for your well-being and for keeping your hobby thriving. So let's hear your goals for the week ahead. For me, my hobby goal is to start painting this Age of Paintober model. The colours I have to work with are a green, a red, light brown, and grey. The grey is a bit frustrating because I could make it with the black and white I'm allowed to use, but hopefully it will push me to be a bit more creative. The first thing I'll do is get the paint on my palette and see what I can come up with. The red and the green are tricky because they don't naturally go well together and can look a bit Christmassy. So I'm planning to stick to the standard Plague Doctor's colours, which is usually a mix of blacks and white. So the armour might be a dirty white and the cloth be blacks and greys. And I'll use the red to maybe add some glow to the lantern and maybe try some OSL with the airbrush, although I've never done that before. The green, I might use it to tint the robe so it isn't completely black, but it will feature prominently on the base. I can use any mediums, and I do own a metallic medium. So I could turn this grey into a silver. I'm not sure if I'll do that. Part of me thinks it would be nice to have a model with no metallic, so I'll play that by ear. I have no idea how long this will take, so I'm setting aside time to experiment and not rush it. I've seen other people's entries, and I probably don't stand a chance of winning, but that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. I want to have fun, learn some new techniques, and give it my all. I'm painting this like it's a centerpiece for my army, and when it's finished, it can make a nice display piece for my bookshelf. I doubt I'll get all of that done in 1 week, so this will probably be a hobby goal that spans a couple of weeks. But when a project is this exciting, you want to keep going and power through. So that is my goal for next week. And that wraps up this week's Hobby Hangout. Just remember, hobbies are all about relaxation and joy, so there is no pressure, whether you hit your goals or not. The important part is enjoying the process. We'll be back next week for another round of Hobby Hangout, where we will catch up on everybody's goals, wins, and achievements from the past week. Until then, keep having fun and happy hobbying. But now we leave the hobby bench behind for something entirely new. A brand new game show for its Saturday morning. Welcome to this week's edition of Just One Line. Here's how it works. I'm going to read out the very first line of a book, and your job is to guess which book it is from. Go ahead and drop your guesses in the comments, and next week we will reveal the answer and see who got it right. All right, here's the first line. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. So what do you think? Which book did that line come from? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to see your guesses. And speaking of stories and the magic of great writing, let's dive into our book club. Welcome back to Book Club. But before we dive into today's review, I want to hear what books you've been reading or finishing this week. So drop them in the comments. It's always great to share what everybody's been into and maybe pick up some new recommendations. And before we start, a quick heads up. The book I'm talking about today is Playground by Aaron Beauregard. It falls under the extreme horror category. It contains some pretty disturbing content, including graphic violence and themes involving children. If that's not your thing, no worries at all. Your well-being comes first. So feel free to skip this one, go make a cuppa, and come back in a couple of minutes. All right, let's talk Playground. I went into this one completely blind. All I knew was that it kept popping up on TikTok and people called it one of the most disturbing books out there. The first couple of chapters actually hooked me. Each chapter introduces a new family receiving an invitation to this mysterious playground, and it felt like it was building towards something clever. Unfortunately, a few chapters in, that structure just disappears, which was a shame because it was a great setup. This is very much extreme horror, but not necessarily in a good way. It's so over the top that half the time I was not shocked. I was laughing at how ridiculous it got. It feels written by someone who is more excited about being gross than being good. The writing itself is rough, with weird metaphors, repeated phrases, and that edgy teenage vibe of trying too hard to shock the reader. There's even a part where somebody gets described when they're melting like shredded cheese in a microwave, and I just couldn't really take it that seriously. The biggest issue for me, though, is the characters. None of them act like real people, especially the kids. They all sound like adults trying to be kids. Relationships change from scene to scene with no consistency, and it feels like the author did not plan who anybody was before writing this, which is frustrating because underneath it all, there is actually quite a good twisted concept here, a deadly playground that could have been something between Squid Games, Battle Royale, and Saw. But instead of exploring that in an interesting way, it just becomes a series of crude, shocking moments that don't add much. I don't hate Playground. It is fast to read, occasionally entertaining, and there is definitely a cool story buried somewhere in there. But it feels like a book that could have been genuinely good if it had been written with more craft and less teenage shock humor. If you're curious about extreme horror as a genre, it might be worth a read just to see where your tolerance sits, but otherwise there are much better books that explore horror without relying on cheap shocks. And while we're talking about words on a page, let's head over to Follower's Choice and see what comics you have recommended for new comic book readers this week. Welcome to Follower's Choice. This is where we tap into your awesome recommendations and help fellow readers find great jumping on points in the world of comics. First up, we have the great Decanter who suggested Descender. It's a fantastic sci-fi series by Jeff Lemire that is perfect for newcomers with its engaging story and stunning artwork. Then we have Positively Geeky, who recommended Y the Last Man. This classic by Brian K. Vaughan is a brilliant entry point for those new to comics, blending compelling storytelling with a unique premise. And we can't forget Martin Saw, who brought up Hickman's run of Fantastic Four. It's a modern classic that is approachable for new readers thanks to its fresh take on the iconic team. I would love to hear more from you all. If you have other great recommendations, especially those perfect for new readers, drop them in the comments. It's always awesome to explore new worlds together. All right, thanks so much for those fantastic recommendations, but let's keep the excitement rolling as we head into our next segment, What's in the Box? We're diving into the brand new Pokemon TCG Mega Evolutions Elite Trainer Box. So let's see what surprises are waiting for us inside. Welcome back to another edition of What's in the Box. This is the part of the show where we crack open something new and shiny. And today we are diving into the brand new Pokemon trading card game set, the Mega Evolutions Elite Trainer Box. If you are newer to Pokemon or just need a refresher, Mega Evolutions are special transformations that certain Pokemon can undergo during battle. They boost their stats, give them new abilities, and usually make them look absolutely wild. This set leans heavily into that nostalgia, featuring some of the most popular Mega Evolutions from across the generations. There are actually two versions of this Elite Trainer box, each with their own unique box design and promo card. The contents are otherwise the same, so whether you grab one or both, you will still get all the essentials to jump into this set. Visually, the artwork in this set is not my favorite, but there are some really cool cards. Like the Ivysaur, the Executor, and the Shuckle looks amazing. I also like the Marshadow and Spiritomb. With the way the pulls are going in Pokemon at the moment though, I will just be happy with anything that looks shiny and pretty. So let's crack it open and see what's inside. Hopefully we will pull something big, but honestly, I'm just excited to see how these Mega Evolutions look in this new set. So ETBs, you get a booklet that shows you all the cards in the set, a coin, the pretty box to store all your cards in. This is new, I think, plastic sleeves. Normally it's just all dumped in, but you get sleeves to protect your cards. Dividers with the promo card. Energy cards. Some dice for playing the game. The bit that we all want. 11 packets of trading cards. There's 11 because this is the Pokemon Center edition. If you buy your Elite Trainer box from the official Pokemon website, you get 2 extra. But without further ado, let's crack them open. This is my first time opening Mega Evolution. I've kind of stayed away from watching people open it. Is the card trick going to be the same? Yes, it is. It is. It is. I don't bother with the card trick. Beware. There's a Beware in Shrouded Fables, and it's possibly one of my favourite cards. I've got the Yukimori Clay Helioptile, whatever that card's called. There, that's one of my favourite artists. I mean, apart from that clay Pokemon, nothing in that pack, but I do like that card. I do like it a lot. 1 pack down, 0 hits. If you know me, you know the only thing that count as hits are true hits. EXs do not count. I want proper hits here. I don't want some half-arsed EX that people count as hits just to make themselves feel, oh, not the end, better. I don't mean made to feel better. I just want to feel good by pulling something. Right, nothing there. Nothing so far. 2 packs down, 0 hits. This is about standard. If I could get 2 hits out of this box, I think in modern era Pokemon, I'm doing well. Like, I feel like Pokemon hit rates have dropped. I'm sure as a kid, when you're opening the original base set, not like my favourite card in the world, but it's a hit. I'm counting it. It's a hit. I'm taking it. I'm taking it as a win. It is a hit. I've lost track of how many packs are on now. I should have been counting. I think this is pack 4. All right, let's rattle through them. We don't really need to see these. Execute. Always one of my favourite Pokemon. Do not know why. Just something about it. Spiritomb. Oh no. Thought it was Spiritomb from reverse. Magnum. The colouring on these packets are nice. And I've seen the Bulbasaur and Ivysaur card. And some of these do have really nice colours, really bright and vibrant and poppy. Kind of remind me of comic book style. Are we going to get any of those? I mean, I'd like to say I should think positive, but it's not helped me so far. So maybe I should think negative. Be like reverse psychology on these packs. I don't know what order these are in anymore, so this is going to be a wild pack opening. I know there's... That's right. I just got a glimpse of something. Just got a glimpse of something. Oh, this is the pack that I messed up. Right? That's a reverse holo. That was a holo energy. Beware. Hepatile again. Code card. What is it? I didn't see. I can't believe I just threw this on the floor. This is probably one of the coolest cards in the set. I am an idiot. It still looks like it's in quite good condition. Holy cow. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, man. Right, put that to one side. Screwed that up big time, didn't I? What a wild ride that was. When I was picking them up off the floor, I just kind of got a glimpse of something. Didn't expect it to be that. Right, 2 hits. What did I say? If I got 2 hits, I'll be happy. I want more now. Got the craving for it. Got the craving. What we're going to find. Can we get 3 hits in an Elite Trainer box? If so, it might be one of the best Elite Trainer boxes I've opened in a while. But that's still ridiculous that out of 11 packets, I only get 2 or 3 hits. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. If I'm going to choose to spend my money on Pokemon cards, then I've got to be willing to lose. It is pretty much gambling. Mega Lucario EX. It's a half hit. I think those 2 EXs, we can probably say together, count as 1 hit. And then the Bulbasaur is the second. I can't believe I got the Bulbasaur. That's pretty nuts. I was looking through the cards in this set before and I saw that and I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I didn't even mention it before. And I pulled it. Should have mentioned it. Should have mentioned it. Right, what have we got left? 2 packs after this. And then we'll see where we're going. Nothing. Pack 10. Big fat fingers keep getting in the way. Ooh. Right. Last pack. I mean, I'm pleased with the Bulbasaur. Don't think I'm being ungrateful. I still think the hit rate should be higher. I know it would drop the value of the cards, but I don't care about the value of the cards. I care about getting cool looking cards. I don't care how many people have those cool looking cards. I just want them. So I do wish the hit rates were slightly better. I still like the chance of not getting something and it being a bit exciting, but could be a little bit friendlier on the fan base. And that is it. I'm out of packets. So, Mega Marwali, however you say that guy, I forget you say that name. I'm awful with names. And dyslexic as hell, so Pokemon names just don't work for me. Mega Lucario. And then the Bulbasaur. That's quite exciting. That's probably the best card I've pulled in a hell of a long time. But that's it. That's a wrap on unboxing the Mega Evolutions Elite Trainer Box. I hope you enjoyed checking out these cards as much as I did. Now, I would love to hear from you all. If you've been opening Mega Evolution packs, let me know what your favorite cards are and what awesome pulls you have managed to snag so far. Drop your thoughts and comments below, and let's chat all things Pokemon. Until next time, happy collecting. All right, it's time for a quickie, and today we're chatting about something that every Pokemon card collector needs: the perfect binder. First, go for a binder that side loads your cards. This way, the cards are less likely going to slip out compared to top loading binders. Trust me, it keeps everything secure. Next, stay away from the traditional ring binder. Over time, they can cause wear and tear on your cards and even lead to bent edges, which is definitely not what we want. Also, a binder with a zip is a game changer. It keeps the dust and dirt out and helps your cards stay in pristine condition. Remember, there are binders designed to fit standard card sleeves and cards in top loaders, so pick the one that suits your collection best. All right, now that we have our binder sorted, let's break down a key Dungeons and Dragons rule from the Player's Handbook. Welcome back to Bit by Bit. This is the part of the show where we break things down, well, bit by bit. And right now, we are working through the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook, and this is part 2 of talking about actions. So first, let's talk about the idea of doing one thing at a time. In D&D, your character can only perform one main action during their turn. So it's all about prioritizing what's important. Next, it's bonus actions. And these are special extra actions that your character can take, usually thanks to certain abilities or spells. They are like little bonus actions on top of your main action. And then we have reactions. These actions can take place outside your turn, usually in response to something happening, such as an enemy attacking you. And finally, let's think about role play. Instead of focusing on the most powerful move, consider what your character would do in the moment. It's all about staying true to their personality and their story. So that's it for this week's Bit by Bit. We'll keep unpacking the Player's Handbook piece by piece, so stay tuned and keep having fun. If there are any specific rules or topics that you want us to cover, let me know in the comments below. Now that we have the Player's Handbook tackled, let's switch gears and dive into some nostalgia. Up next, we are going to revisit an early 2000s kids TV show that is sure to bring back some memories. So grab your popcorn and let's take a trip down memory lane. Welcome to Side Quest. This is the part of the show where we dive into something fun for the week, and then we come back next week to chat all about it. It's like a little adventure for us all. This week, we're taking a trip down memory lane with Jeopardy, the CBBC TV series that aired from 2002 to 2004. It followed a group of secondary school students and their teachers from Falkirk in Scotland as they journeyed to the Australian bush to look for UFOs. The show used a unique found footage style with the characters recording everything themselves, which made it very engaging and a little bit eerie. I absolutely loved this show back in the day, and when I mentioned it in a TikTok comment the other day, it got nearly 700 likes overnight. Clearly, it struck a chord with many people. The good news is that you can find the entire series on YouTube and watch it at your own pace. So for this week's side quest, let's all watch the first episode of Jeopardy, and then we will come back next week to share our thoughts, memories, and rediscover a hidden gem that we had forgotten about. Now it is time to shine the spotlight, though, on something cool. And this week we are talking about an awesome comic creator and artist who deserves some love. Welcome to the Spotlight. This is where we shine a light on someone truly remarkable. And this week we are celebrating the incredible Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is one of those creators who can do just about everything. He writes, he draws, and he has a knack for making stories feel both intimate and unsettling at the same time. He has made waves in both indie comics and the superhero world, so let's talk about both sides of his work. The indie side is where Lemire really shines for me. He's got books like Essex County that are just beautiful small town stories about family, memories, and loss that somehow hit harder than most superhero deaths. Sweet Tooth is another standout, a post-apocalyptic fairy tale with hybrid kids, brutal survival, and loads of heart. And then there's Royal City, which might be one of his most grounded books. It's all about family grief and the ghosts that follow us. These stories have a quiet sadness to them, and they are strangely comforting but still emotionally heavy. You can tell Lemire is pulling from real life, and that's what makes them hit so hard. On the other side, Lemire has also written for some of the biggest names in comics, including Green Arrow, Animal Man, Moon Knight, and X-Men, just to name a few. He brings the same emotional depth to superheroes, making them feel messy and human instead of just powerful. I will admit I've not read much of Lemire's superhero work yet. I have mostly stuck to the indie stuff where he writes and draws everything himself. So if you are a fan of his superhero stories, I would love some recommendations. Where is the best place to start with Lemire's capes and tight side? Whether it's a quiet Canadian farm or a cosmic Marvel storyline, Jeff Lemire's work always feels personal. He's one of those rare creators who makes every book feel like it matters, no matter how strange or small it gets. So yes, Jeff Lemire is deeply weird, deeply human, and absolutely worth reading. And that is our spotlight on Jeff Lemire. It's been such a treat diving into his world today, but now we are heading towards the end of the show. And that's a wrap on today's episode. A huge thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning trip down memory lane. It is always wonderful to relive those childhood mornings, cereal in hand, and enjoy the nostalgia of Saturday morning TV. Remember, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. The more, the merrier, and it helps us keep this Saturday morning revival going strong. Just a quick heads up, new episodes drop every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. on YouTube, and you can catch all the highlights throughout the week on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure you are following along so you never miss out. Next week, we will have more hobby hangouts, more book club, and all your favourite moments. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I've been Steve, and it's always a pleasure to spend our mornings together. Until next time, it's Saturday morning, baby!